Ask any of my friends and they'll tell you, I hate spoilers. They're obnoxious, awful, and irritating, and they're hard to get out of my head. Get out of my head. I know it's ironic that the guy who hates spoilers spoils almost every game he talks about, but I try to give spoiler warnings when I can, because I know how much it sucks to get spoiled out of nowhere, especially when it comes to character deaths. Yeah, anyways, in Star Wars Episode 7, but something changed when I discovered a small indie animated series you probably overlooked. That's right, I'm talking about The Incredible Cyber Carnival. Huh? What's that? Oh, thank you. Sorry, I misread that. It's The Amazing Digital Circus. For the employed, TADC is a dark comedy about 6 people stuck in a digital world, none of which know how to leave. All the characters go through complex internal issues that get accentuated by their new bodies. On top of that, the show has a season-long mystery, which incentivizes you to look into all the little details and theorize what will come next. They even poke fun at some of the theories in the show itself. Normally, I want to go into any game, movie, or show as blind as possible, so I can come up with those theories myself. But for once, I decided to look into what other fans thought of the show. I know, big mistake. That being said, it did lead me to find the SOMA theory, based on the 2015 sci-fi horror game, SOMA.
SOMA!
Don't you say it. The theory speculated that all the circus members were AI clones, while their human counterparts were living their lives in the real world. I could have just left it there and avoided spoilers as I usually do, but then I decided to make a video comparing SOMA and The Amazing Digital Circus to find their common themes. What I found was a shared message about hope, and that if the theory was true, the ending would be them accepting their fate and living with it. So now that the finale has finally been released on YouTube, let's see how close I got.
Brain scans. Scratch was trying to make a brain scanner. I saw a folder full of them when I was in Kane's code. So I guess Kane found a way to get them working.
With all that being said and done, Abby is out there, living her best life. And here, I'm just Pomni.
I was right?
I can't believe I was right!
Well, would you look at that? Guess my video didn't age like milk. But of course, the video was a double-edged sword, because as soon as the finale hit theaters, I got spoiled in my own comment section.
Dude, you ruined it.
Now, I would have been upset, but I kinda did this to myself. Luckily, the comments didn't spoil everything, just that the SOMA theory was true and that I was right in some capacity. With that spoiler in mind, however, I started to think, what if I hadn't made that video? Would finding out the reveal naturally have hit harder? If you were to ask me this before I made that video, I probably would have said,
Yep.
But as I watched the finale, something strange happened. The fact that I got spoiled didn't bother me. I think it helped that they revealed the twist within the first 2 minutes, so for the rest of the episode, I didn't need to think about it. But also, I chose to dive deeper into the connection between SOMA and TADC. What I got out of it, however, wasn't the importance of the SOMA theory itself, but rather how the theory recontextualizes what the Amazing Digital Circus is trying to say. At the heart of it, it's about people. People who've come together under hopeless circumstances to overcome that despair. Even though they're not their original selves, they're still human and have made peace with their new selves. I heard some fans saying this ending was predictable, but I'd rather have a predictable ending than a surprise ending just for the sake of it. I've seen cases where a writer finds a fan theory that's scarily close to the actual plan, only for them to change it to make it more unexpected, which can end up feeling disconnected from the original intent. Game of Thrones. I actually respect that, despite the SOMA theory being one of the more popular ones among the fanbase. Gooseworks, the creator of the show, stuck to her guns and told the story she wanted to tell. Could it have used another episode to answer some questions and make Kane's redemption feel more earned? Yeah, probably. While the show isn't perfect, you can see the genuine love and passion put into it. But honestly, this whole experience reminded me that out-of-context spoilers aren't the worst thing in the world. Sure, it sucks to a degree, but it's way more mild compared to getting spoiled on characters dying or coming back. In fact, I would argue some spoilers could be the reason for someone getting interested in the first place. For example, I wouldn't normally consider a premise as a spoiler, After all, you probably want to at least know what a story is even about to get you interested in the first place. However, there are some games that purposefully leave out information in the premise to catch you by surprise, which is exactly the kind of scenario I ran into when looking at the card game roguelike Inscryption. I know this was a Digital Circus video, but trust me, it'll make sense. I had never played a game by Daniel Mullins, so I didn't really have many expectations going into it. But just to see if I would like it, I did look up the first 10 minutes of gameplay. From what I saw, it seemed like a cool concept. But in a very similar situation as before, I checked the comment section. I know, I never learn. But scrolling down, I read one comment that said something on the lines of, "I can't wait till he gets to Act 2. Luckily, this was vague enough to where I didn't know what was gonna happen, but I did know that something would happen. Still, it piqued my interest to try the game out for myself. As I played, I was really enjoying its creepy atmosphere and sound design, but when I got to the end of Act 1, that's when I realized what that commenter was saying, as it takes a complete shift from a first-person pixelated card game into a meta live-action mystery. And it gets even weirder when we jump into Act 2, with a whole new pixel art style, even changing its tone and gameplay. I had never seen a game switch up that drastically halfway through. That being said, it didn't come out of nowhere. There were plenty of hints in Act 1 that pointed to there being more to this little card game. And by the end, I ended up loving the game, even trying out the rest of Daniel Mullins' games, which I made a video about, watch it after this video. So if I hadn't read that comment, I don't know if I would have been curious enough to play it myself. And for TADC, if I hadn't looked into the SOMA theory, I might not have appreciated the show as much as I do. Now, this isn't saying that you need to spoil yourself to better understand a show. Exploring the SOMA theory was just a catalyst for me personally. And for you, maybe that catalyst was something else. Memes, for example, can be the purest form of out-of-context spoilers. After all, if you've never seen The Boys, you wouldn't know why Homelander is smiling in this GIF. Spoiler, it's not for good reasons. But because they're easily shareable and applicable in multiple scenarios, someone unfamiliar with the show might come across it and be curious enough to check out the source. Which brings me to a major spoiler that almost everyone already knows about.
You are the father!
As a franchise, Star Wars has been ingrained into pop culture for decades, so it might come as a shock to some who haven't seen the original trilogy that the famous line, "Luke, I am your father," or "No, I am your father," was actually a crazy plot twist. Leading up to The Empire Strikes Back, we had only known about Luke's father through Obi-Wan, who was always extremely vague. But in hindsight, there were quite a few hints that Vader had some connection to Luke. Granted, I wasn't alive when it came out, so I can't really say what fans were thinking at the time, but I'm pretty sure it was a running theory at the very least. Nonetheless, it's such a famous line despite being a direct spoiler, and yet, no one really cared to keep it a secret. It was too iconic not to put out there. Plus, I would bet that one line actually got some fans into the franchise who wanted to see the events leading up to it. With shows like The Amazing Digital Circus, the internet will do what the internet does and spoil things. Because they're either too excited to share their thoughts, or they're like Jax, and while some fan theories did end up technically spoiling what would happen, they were also a big part of why so many got invested. Even though I knew the SOMA theory got confirmed, I was actually looking forward to seeing how it played out. Sure, there is still a part of me that wishes I got surprised by the reveal, but I don't think having the information beforehand was such a net negative. After all, I gained a new appreciation for the show by looking deeper into its themes, and I wouldn't have found that on my own had I not made that SOMA theory video. While I might not like all spoilers, for some of them, just like the circus members, I guess I just gotta live with it. That's it for me. Thanks for watching, and I hope to see you next time.